What is going on, everybody? And I never would have thought in a million years that I would be making this video or even talking about this particular subject at all. Oh boy. Hulk Hogan. I started watching professional wrestling in the early 1990s, so I've been following Hulk Hogan for quite a long time. Since his early Hulkamania days, and then he went to WCW and eventually formed the NWO with Scott Hall and Kevin Nash, and he thus became Hollywood Hulk Hogan. Then he eventually came back to WWE and donned the red and the yellow once again, had one last nostalgia run, and then eventually had a reality show, and then had some personal problems after that. So I've been following this man for quite a long time. And I never would have thought I would ever be talking about this. Apparently Hulk Hogan is a pretty big racist, or he harbors racial thoughts and prejudices. And when I first heard this news a couple days ago, I couldn't believe it. My first thought was, okay, maybe he let the N-word slip out, or he was discussing the use of the N-word, because sometimes people have those type of discussions and then it gets blown out of proportion into something that it's not. Those are my first thoughts. And then I eventually came across the transcript of his big racial outburst, and I could not believe what was said, and that he, of all people, said it. And for the record, I'm not even going to repeat anything that he said, because it is just that disgusting. If you want to go look for it yourself, then by all means go do that. I'm not going to repeat what is said here. I couldn't believe it. I honestly could not believe it. Because if you look at Hulk Hogan's career, he's worked with so many African American people. Like WrestleMania 1, he was part of that event, and he tag teamed with Mr. T, who at the time was a huge television star with the A-Team, and he was in Rocky 3. That's how Hulk Hogan met Mr. T. They were both in Rocky 3. And then, of course, Hulk Hogan did stuff with Shaquille O'Neal, even did some stuff with George Foreman. He's worked with a lot of black people over the years. So it's really shocking to see that he possibly, actually, never mind, I take that back. He does harbor some racist thoughts. Now, this isn't just your normal slip of the tongue here. This isn't just somebody getting angry and letting the N-word or another racial term slip because they're just angry. No, he went on a racial tirade. And it was really disgusting. And I don't know if he was under the influence of something, like whether he was drunk or he was on drugs, but it doesn't really matter. Because some people have made that excuse that maybe he was under the influence of something. No, I'm sorry. You can't just make somebody be under the influence of something and then they'll just start spouting racial terms. That doesn't happen. He had to have harbored these thoughts for I don't know how long. But he had to have. It's just he was good at covering them up. So, as you could probably guess at this point, it didn't take long for WWE to distance themselves from him. Like, big time. It was like record time that they immediately distanced themselves from him. Not only did he get fired from being a judge on this year's Tough Enough, all of his merchandise was completely removed from WWEshop.com. Every mention of his name is gone from the WWE website, including his removal of the Hall of Fame on the Hall of Fame section of the WWE website. Now, I don't think he's officially out of the Hall of Fame. I don't know what kind of confirmation we would need for that, but his likeness, image, and name is gone from the website completely. For the record, I don't think he should be removed from the Hall of Fame because he was still one of the biggest wrestling stars in history. his body of work speaks for itself, regardless of this situation, so I don't think he should be removed from the Hall of Fame. I shouldn't. Or I don't think he should. But yeah, I have not seen a situation like this involving a wrestler where WWE has distanced themselves from since the Chris Benoit incident in 2007. Which, if any of you don't remember that, Chris Benoit, wrestler, he ended up killing his wife and son and then committing suicide. It was a freaking major deal. And it almost killed the wrestling industry. Or came very close to doing it back then. It was very, very troubling times for the wrestling industry back then. But I've not seen a wrestler in the WWE get treated like this since then. So, regardless of what the transcript says, because when you see transcripts over the internet, some things can be edited and dubbed to fit people's agendas. But WWE would not jump the gun like this unless it was serious. And they had to have listened to a tape or something before they made this decision to distance themselves from one of the biggest names in the history of professional wrestling. So, it's a shame. It's a real damn shame. And it's also a shame to see that there are some people actually defending him. I've seen some excuses for this. Like, for example, I've seen people say, you know, it was a long time ago that he said this, which, for the record, sorry for not mentioning this earlier, his racial rant was basically done in 2008. So, that was 7 years ago, I believe? Okay. It was so long ago, and he ended up apologizing for it, so I don't see what the big deal is. First off, it doesn't matter how long ago somebody said something or a particular crime or act was committed. It doesn't matter how long ago it happened. It freaking happened. That's all that matters. And as far as his apology goes, Hulk Hogan's apology, it was your typical bullshit celebrity politician apology where they say, you know, what I said was really terrible. I did not mean what I said. This is not who I am. It's not who you are. Then why the hell did you say the word in the first place if you did not harbor these racial feelings? And not only did you say the word, you said it multiple freaking times. You don't do that. Unless you harbor these feelings. You just don't. So that's not who you are? Sorry, it's bullshit. And, well, first off, let me say this first. I'm a forgiving person. I'm a reasonable guy. If somebody let the N-word slip, like if they were angry, per se, and they just let it slip because they were just really angry, if they, honest to God, truly felt remorse over saying that word, that they felt that bad over saying that word, and they proved that they felt really bad by saying that word. Like, for example, if he spoke it like a bullying campaign, like WWE's Be a Star campaign, I'm sure racism has been brought up at some of these campaigns because racism is a form of bullying. If he would have gone to some of these events, and he's been to a few of them, and discussed this, and actually said, and actually admitted to himself, look, I actually have made racial terms, or have stated racial terms, out of anger and frustration. I should not have done that. It is not who I am. Not a day goes by that I don't feel bad for doing that. You kids should never ever do that. Do not follow my example. It is bad. Never do that, no matter how angry you might be at someone. If he did something like that, then I would be more understanding of the situation. But that's not what happened. He held this in for 7 years. And we're only knowing about this from this leaked tape. That's the only reason we even know about this. So, I don't think he feels that sorry for it. I think he feels sorry that he got caught and is now paying the price for it. But I'm not sure he actually truly feels sorry for what he said. Because otherwise he would have done something like the example that I mentioned. Oh man. It's a shame. His legacy and career is forever ruined by what happened here. Do I feel he can ever basically overcome this? Honestly, no, I don't. Because I don't think WWE's ever going to welcome him back. I don't think any other professional wrestling company is going to basically welcome him with open arms. And I don't think any other company is going to use him to endorse their product. So, for all intents and purposes, his career is ruined. Now, will he actually make changes, or at least show that he feels sorry for it? At this point, he needs to do that. He needs to do whatever he can to show that he's sorry for what happened and actually mean it. Because that's all he can really do at this point, because his career's done. It's over with. If you ever wanted to see a legacy and a career crumble before your very eyes, look no further than this situation right here. And it's a shame because I'm such a big professional wrestling fan. I've been following this guy pretty much my entire life, basically, or at least close to it. And he's been a hero to a lot of kids who grew up in the 1980s and the early 90s. And to see what happened here, it's just a damn shame. It really is. So, alright. What are your thoughts on this situation? I would be definitely interested to know. Let me know what you think, and I will talk to y'all later. Have a good one.